Hello, I'm Dr. Scheidbach. I pastor Lighthouse Baptist Church in Santa Maria, California. I'm your brain masseur, and I want you to get ready for your brain massage. Proverbs 28 and verse number 15, the Bible says, as a roaring lion and a raging bear, so is a wicked ruler over the poor people. And so, I tell you what, you get a wicked ruler, a ruler who rules contrary to the rule and way of God. That's the definition of wickedness from a biblical point of view. All right? So anybody that's ruling contrary to what the Bible lays down and defines as righteousness is a wicked ruler. And the Bible says that when a people are governed by wicked rulers, it's like they are prey being hunted by roaring lions and raging bears. I'll tell you what, we're moving more and more and more in that direction in this country. So let's go ahead and continue now in I think it's a 5 or 6 part segmented series in my address to a young lady's speech that she gave at the CNN town hall meeting. It's a meeting I call the CNN Rally versus Reality Show. But she, like I said, she laid out a very competent, very well articulated, and I thought well delivered speech that really contained virtually every argument liberals have come up with to advance the idea that gun control is the right response to what happened there at Parkland. In this one, I'm going to discuss the disgust of these young people at what they consider to be the inaction of government to their concerns, and then also in that the Australian model. So let's take a look at this. Now, I've addressed the insults that she spat in our face, throwing our thoughts and prayers back into our face and insinuating that those of us who believe protecting our right to protect ourselves are motivated by nothing but selfishness. So let's move on to the next part of her speech. The Australia argument was passionately presented, and it's elegant in its simplicity. After a mass shooting in 1996, Australia passed stringent anti-gun laws, and they can say that they've had no mass shooting since they passed those laws. So, slam dunk, right? Apparently, she felt that argument stands squarely on its merit and needed no further elaboration. So, let's take a look. First, Australia had 13 mass shootings leading up to the confiscation policy and the prohibition of so-called assault weapons that they put in place in 1996. And after that, there have been no mass shooting incidents. But you should know that the Aussies debate among themselves whether these things are directly connected. Or if they are, in what way are they connected? Often those who propose the Australia model actually either purposely lie, or they're just simply too lazy to do the research, or, as is more likely in the present case, this young lady probably just accepted what she was told. She just accepted the one side of the argument because it fit the narrative and was believable by her because she already believed it. And so she accepted it uncritically. That happens. You got to be careful of that. The fact is, Australia's gun confiscation and draconian gun control laws have not reduced the overall suicide rate in Australia, as some claim. And they have not reduced the gun homicide rate either, by the way. You can email me and I'll send links to you that'll take you to these studies. They estimate that they have reduced the number of guns in the public by about 1/5. It's about 20%. And some question the legitimacy of claiming that these laws are directly responsible for the absence of mass shootings. I mean, the obvious point is 80% of the guns that were there are still there. So how does a reduction of 20% account for no mass shootings? I mean, the guns are still available. And as a matter of fact, a lot of bad people still have guns and use them in Australia. Anyway, so how's this for a reason that we're experiencing so many mass shootings and so many incidents of this kind in America, especially since Obama's presidency? When incidents of mass shootings began to significantly increase. A lot of people don't know this. Even if you use the older criteria of 8 or more deaths to qualify as a mass shooting? Yes, Snopes. There were more mass shootings under Obama than under earlier presidents. For example, using the criteria of 8 or more deaths to qualify as a mass shooting, here are the numbers. Reagan, 2 terms, 5 mass shootings. Bush 1, 1 term, 3 mass shootings. Clinton, 2 terms, 4 mass shootings. Bush 2, 2 terms, 5 mass shootings. Obama, 2 terms, 11 mass shootings. What, it increased 100% from Bush to Obama? Let's take a look at what's going on here. In, I think it's every case, we finally learned that the shooter was at some time under psychiatric care. You notice that? And prescribed, in most cases, some kind of psychotropic drug. And by the way, every one of them was over 18, with one exception. The deranged lunatics who commit these atrocities are made puppets by psychotropic drugs, whose strings are being manipulated by repeated suggestions of to violence, by a culture of hate in which they are, most of them, well, I think every one of them is proof that they were immersed in this subculture of hate that is in our culture. And that culture of hate is not coming from the Christian community. These people aren't, young Baptist Bible college students who are going out doing this kind of stuff, okay? And so on. That just happened to be the group I hang with, so that's what I thought of. It's not coming out of our churches, my friend. Pay attention. Consistently, it's coming from those who self-describe as either atheist or agnostic or non-religious, and who will continually fill their minds and hearts with messages of hate that come from the left side of the demographic, of the paradigm in which we live today, the milieu of our culture. I mean, conservatives don't rap about raping your wife or murdering all whites, okay, or offing the cops, things like this. Conservatives are not sending the "let's all hate America" message, right? You're not getting that from conservatives. The expressions of hatred for our country and for our heritage are, I think all of it is coming from the left. And it never stops. It's just like, it's like a drone string on a 5-string banjo. It's the same note over and over and over. Look, the music so many of these kids listen to these days is programming them to violence. And you can just knee-jerk dismiss that if you want to, but everybody knows that advertising works because it influences people to make decisions. If you don't think this kind of music is not influencing these kids towards some of these things, you're just foolish. In many of the schools that they attend, they're being taught to hate America, to hate white people, for heaven's sake, to hate the principles of liberty bequeathed to us by our founders. They are taught to hate the American flag, to despise it. And they're especially taught to hate Trump. And it goes on and on and on. Add to this the alienation factor in our culture that has developed where, human-to-human interaction is subordinated to technology more and more, where monsters like this Nicholas Cruz are kicked to the curb, pushed aside, all of which suborn these unstable souls to atrocious acts. This doesn't excuse them by any stretch of the imagination, should you understand me to say that they are somehow to be pitied or excused for their behavior. They make choices. They've made decisions that they're responsible for. But my friend, there is, a bigger picture here that we need to look at. One thing this young lady pointed out that I also noticed is that virtually everyone who knew this kid, right, was not surprised when it was learned he's the one what did it. Why wasn't this kid dealt with before it came to this? And in an earlier video, I discussed how Christians really need to listen and get the gospel to young men like that and reach out to young men like that. But why wasn't this kid dealt with before it came to this? How is it possible that every student in that school, and by the way, so far as we could tell, every person on the street where he lived, every teacher in the school where he attended, everybody knew this kid was violent and dangerous. but the parents didn't? What? The parents didn't see this coming? Anyway, let's talk about the Australia model. My friend, you want the Australia model to be followed in answer to school shootings? Well, guess what? You got your wish. That's what we're doing. We are following the Australia model right now. There is a movement afoot in this country to disarm Americans, and those who are agitating for that are using events like this one to push the country in the direction of disarming its citizenry. And there is increasing evidence developing here that there's more going on in these shootings than just what I described, this kid alienated, confused, psychotropic drug, etc. It seems that there's a very real possibility there are some agitators behind this that are encouraging it, who, as I said earlier, view this as necessary collateral damage in order to move their agenda forward. There is a reason that common sense solutions are rejected and that these nonsense solutions are aggressively promoted in the wake of each of these events. Solutions that invariably involve infringement upon our sacred right to self-protection. Solutions that create greater problems and encourage violence instead of dealing with it the way the Bible says it's supposed to be dealt with, by executing wrath upon evildoers. Listen, somebody's agenda is served by these things happening. And I would say that we are all in full implementation of the Australia model. Yeah. Somebody saw that it worked in Australia, and they're sure pushing it hard here. Use the violent acts of deranged monsters as a way to get the guns out of the hands of the people so that only the government has guns. Anyway, young lady, you want the Australian model? You've got it. And sadly, in my opinion, you're being duped into becoming part of the agenda to undermine our Second Amendment rights by pursuing a solution to school shootings that is not a solution. So next, I'm going to ask and answer how to deal with the liberals' blame game. What do you do with the liberals' blame game? Now, I have lit the lamps at Church Belfry Arch. You let me know you see they're on by going to our website, brainmassage.net, and writing to me an email. God bless you. God bless America. And I'll see you in church.